My name is Stanley, and I am a simple peasant. I have lived a life in 2 different places, under 2 different skies. My first home was in a small country, a little patch of green nestled between gentle hills. It was the only world I knew for many years, and I thought it was the whole world. Then one day my family and I journeyed far away to a big country. This new land was so vast, it seemed to go on forever, with wide open plains and cities that touched the clouds. I have tilled the soil in both lands, and I have learned that the size of a country can change a man's life in many ways, from the food on his plate to the friends he calls his own. I often sit by the fire at night and think about my 2 lives. In my mind, I see the narrow, winding lanes of my first home, and then I see the wide, straight roads of my new one. I remember the faces of my neighbors, people I had known since I was a boy, and their easy smiles. Then I think of the many new faces I see every day here, people who are strangers, hurrying on their way. Each place has its own rhythm, its own song. One is a quiet lullaby sung by a familiar voice, and the other is a loud and exciting tune played by a grand orchestra. It is a strange thing to hold 2 whole worlds inside one heart. The journey itself was a long and tiring one. We packed our few belongings in a small wooden cart, leaving behind the only home we had ever known. My wife Elara held our young son close, her eyes filled with a mix of fear and hope. We walked for many days and sailed on a big ship that tossed on the waves. The big country greeted us with a different kind of air, a different smell on the wind. It was a land of great promise, we were told, a place where a man could build a better future for his family. But it was also a place of great challenges, where everything was new and sometimes very lonely. Now, as I look back, I see that my story is not just about moving from one place to another. It is about discovering what truly matters in a peasant's life. Is it the comfort of knowing every stone and tree? Or is it the excitement of seeing new things every day? Is it better to have a small piece of something familiar, or a large share of something new and unknown? These are the questions that have followed me from the small country to the big one. They are the questions I try to answer as I work the land and watch my son grow, wondering which world he will call his own true home when he is a man. In my small country, the days all followed a familiar and comforting pattern. The sun would rise over the same green hill each morning, and its light would touch the roof of my small cottage. I would go out to the fields, which were just a short walk from my door. My work was hard, tilling the soil with my old wooden plough and tending to our few chickens and our milk cow Daisy. Every person in our village had their own task, and we all worked together like parts of a clock. The blacksmith hammered at his anvil, the baker kneaded his dough, and I worked the earth. We did not have much, but we had enough to fill our bellies and keep us warm. Our community was like a large family. I knew everyone in our village, and they all knew me. If my plough broke, my neighbour Thomas would come to help me fix it. If his wife was ill, Elara would take them a warm pot of soup. We celebrated together at harvest time, dancing and singing in the village square. We also mourned together when someone passed away, sharing our grief and our memories. There were no strangers among us. This closeness was a great comfort. It meant you were never truly alone with your troubles, for there was always a friendly face and a helping hand nearby. Food in the small country was simple and came from our own land. We ate what we could grow and raise. In the summer we had fresh vegetables from our garden, sweet carrots, round cabbages and plump tomatoes. Elara would make hearty stews with potatoes and onions, and we would have fresh milk from Daisy. In the autumn we would harvest the grain and store it for the long winter. Our meals were not fancy, but they were wholesome and filling. The taste of a fresh-baked loaf of bread, made from wheat I had grown myself, was one of the greatest joys. It was the taste of our hard work and our connection to the land. My family was the center of my world. Elara and I worked side by side in the fields and in our home. Our son played in the dirt nearby, learning the ways of the land just by watching us. In the evenings, we would sit together by the hearth. I would tell stories that my father had told me, and Elara would sing soft songs. Our lives were woven together so tightly, like the threads of a strong cloth. We shared every joy and every hardship. In our small cottage, in our small village, In our small country, we had a sense of belonging that was as solid as the earth beneath our feet. When we arrived in the big country, everything changed. The sun seemed to rise over a much larger sky, and the land stretched out in all directions. Here, my work was on a vast farm owned by a wealthy landowner. I was one of many peasants who worked the fields. The fields were so large that I could not see the end of them. We used bigger, stronger tools, and we worked from sunrise to sunset with little rest. The work was still hard, but it felt different. I was no longer working my own small patch of land. I was a small part of a very large machine. I earned more coins for my labor, but I felt a distance from the soil I worked. The community here was not a community at all, not in the way I had known. We lived in a settlement with many other families, but we were all strangers to one another. People came from different places and spoke with different accents. They kept to themselves, their doors closed after a long day of work. There was no village square for dancing, no shared celebrations. If my cart broke, I had to pay a stranger with coins to fix it. I missed the easy conversation and the helping hands of my old neighbors. Here in this big country, a man could feel very alone even when surrounded by hundreds of people. The food in the big country was plentiful and varied. We could go to a market and buy things I'd never seen before. There were strange fruits and spices from faraway lands. With the coins I earned, Elara could buy white flour for bread and sugar for treats. Our son loved the sweet cakes we could now afford, but the food did not taste the same. It did not come from our own hands or our own garden. It felt like a stranger's food. I missed the simple taste of a potato I had pulled from the earth myself. The new food filled our stomachs, but it did not fill my heart in the same way. My family was still my family, but our life felt different. We had a bigger house with more room, but we spent less time together. I would come home from the fields, too tired to tell stories, and Elara was busy trying to make a home in this strange new place. Our son went to a small school with other children, but he seemed quieter. We had more things, more coins, and more food, but something important was missing. The strong cloth of our family life seemed to have a few threads pulled loose. We were together, but the world outside was so big and loud that it was hard to hear our own quiet song. Comparing my two lives is like comparing a small warm candle to a large bright bonfire. The small country was the candle. Its light was gentle and steady, and it warmed a small space very well. In its glow I could see every familiar face clearly. Life was predictable, simple and secure. We knew our place in the world and we were content with it. The big country is the bonfire. It is bright and exciting, full of energy and power. It can be seen from far away and offers the promise of great warmth and light. But if you get too close, you can get burned, and its shadows are very dark and deep. The main difference was the feeling of connection. In the small country, I was connected to everything, the land, the food, the people. My life was a single, strong rope woven from these connections. In the big country, these connections felt frayed or broken. I was a worker, not a farmer. I was a resident, not a neighbor. I was a customer, not a producer. The similarities were few. In both places, the sun rose and set, the seasons changed, and a man had to work hard to provide for his family. But the spirit of the life was entirely different, and it was this spirit that mattered most to my soul. My feelings about each place are complicated. I am grateful for the opportunities the big country has given us. My son is learning to read and write, something I could never have given him in our old home. We no longer worry about having enough food to survive the winter. There is a sense of possibility here, a feeling that tomorrow could be better than today. Yet my heart aches for the quiet, simple life we left behind. I miss the feeling of belonging, of being a necessary part of a small living whole. I miss the taste of my own harvest and the sound of my neighbor's laughter over the fence. In the end, if I had to choose, my heart would lead me back to the small country. The promise of more coins and more things in the big country is a powerful lure, but it cannot replace what was lost. A man's soul needs more than a full belly and a warm house. It needs community. It needs connection. It needs to feel that his life has meaning beyond the coins he earns. The big country offered a better living, but the small country offered a better life. For a simple peasant like me, a small piece of a world where you belong is worth more than a large piece of a world where you are a stranger.